starting the webinar. Hello, and welcome to our first installment of our Coffee Talk series. Today we're going to be discussing, are you making remote working mistakes? It will be hosted by TBSC. I am Madison. I am the marketing coordinator at the Business Software Center, and on the call we also have Phil, who is the director. So today we're going to be going over, are you making remote working mistakes? So grab a cup of coffee, grab a cup of tea, and join us. We really would like to have your interaction and input, questions, comments. Feel free to leave them in the Q&A section on the right-hand side. Also, we have a hashtag CoffeeTalkTBSC, so feel free to follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Twitter and share your hashtag and let us know how the presentation went and if it helped you. So we're going to go ahead and get started today. We have about 30 minutes, so we're going to talk a bit about remote working, and then we'll ask for your questions and comments. So feel free to just put them in throughout the time I'm talking, and then I can get to them whenever we have a bit of a break. So there's a push for remote work in the current climate. So the question that we ask ourselves is the old office structure changing to cause this push for remote work? Well, the answer is yes, for sure. Not only is the cloud and SaaS inspiring this change, but employees are also changing the old office structure, and they are suggesting new and innovative working techniques to better fit their home life balances and working strategies. So what else can be a push for the remote work at this time? I think another push for remote work is the productivity of it. Based off of a research from Microsoft, employees do good work wherever they are, and productivity increases on average 22% when workers have the capability to work in flexible workplaces. And I've also read several articles about this as well, with productivity. Giving employees the opportunity to work from home even one day a week increases productivity and overall employee happiness. So another push for remote work, of course, is the COVID-19, especially because we don't really know the future of it right now. So a lot of businesses are currently planning to work from home even permanently. So here you can see, this is a really interesting graph by McKinsey & Company. This is actually a graph that compares the remote working of pre-COVID-19 versus after COVID-19, and you can see different sectors. Even the manufacturing sector, I mean, check that out. That is incredible how much remote working has increased ever since COVID-19 had us all social distancing. Now, according to remote workers, what is the biggest benefits that remote workers see whenever they are working from home? The first one that they see is 40%, many people agree with this, is the flexible work schedule. 30% of people like to work from any location. So, you know, maybe they get bored at working from home, maybe they go to a local coffee shop, or, you know, they're traveling and they can work on the train or the airplane. 14% say time with family. 13% say they really enjoy working from home, and 3% say other. So perhaps this was actually done in 2019, so perhaps there is a bit of a change since COVID-19 came about, and there might be more benefits to working from home, particularly with health. But we're just gonna have to wait and see for the new reports on that. Now, what is the biggest struggle when working remotely? This was based off of a 2020 report. It's really interesting. So the two top biggest struggles with working remotely, according to remote workers, is collaboration and communication and loneliness. And I would say these two things are certainly things that can be controlled relatively with an appropriate business strategy. Perhaps not being able to unplug, you can incorporate times where you allow your employees to take breaks and not be online as much. But of course, with collaboration and communication, you can control that, and you can provide social phone calls and social interactions to help combat loneliness that these remote workers are struggling with. So as far as advice for improving your remote working mistakes, I've compiled a list of about 8 pieces of advice that I have for you just to help with at least the first 2. with the communication and the loneliness. So the first one is the equipment. So ask yourself this question. Do you know what devices your employees have access to whilst working from home? And do you know what's installed? So basically, if your company did not supply laptops, mobile devices, etc., it's hard to know for sure what is on your employees' computers. So even if you did supply the devices, there's no guarantee the equipment is up to date and ready for long-term home use if you are not diligent on checking. So yes, the first piece of advice I have is perhaps checking the equipment that your employees are using. The second piece of advice for improving your remote working is training. So ask yourself this question. Are your employees properly trained? So sometimes training may fall through the cracks and employees need the structure and security of knowledge of their job requirements and need training on a regular basis to ensure that they have what they need to succeed. So with the training, just make sure that they have the appropriate tools in their tool belt, supply them with PowerPoint presentations or YouTube videos, or you can, pair them up one-on-one with somebody who has been on the job for a few years and they can learn from that. Another piece of advice that I have, so this is the third piece of advice I have for improving your remote working strategy, is check on your employees' progress. So ask yourself this question. Do you know which employees need help and how do you check in with your staff? So right now, if you are not face-to-face at the office, it's hard to tell who needs help. Unless you have an outspoken employee requesting more help, you really do not know which employees need additional assistance. It's kind of unfortunate, especially if an employee doesn't feel comfortable enough to speak up and say, hey, I really need help with this, or I don't really understand this project. There's different avenues that you can take to help improve this. Of course, you can do anonymous surveys. You can ask your employees to take surveys for you or offer anonymous feedback. But also, particularly with Microsoft usage, there's this tool called Smarter 365 that can track and monitor your Microsoft usage and can even see whether your employees are using all the applications with the Office 365, and if they're not, then you can offer them additional training. So the fourth way that you can improve remote working is to optimize your communication. So the question that you want to ask yourself is this. Which is the most efficient for your business? Is it phone, video calls, chats, emails? There are so many different ways of communicating, and currently I think the top three are Zoom, Office 365, and Google, but there are many others like Skype that businesses are incorporating and using right now. But I think the question is, which one is more appropriate for your business and for your employees? So, yeah, I think just asking yourself that question might bring up an interesting result. And also, what's really great about these products is a lot of them offer free trials, so you can even test them out and see which ones work best for you. So number 5, regular reviews. Let's see, ask yourself this question. Do you have reviews with your team and how often? So my advice here would be reviewing and catching up with your employees on a regular basis helps ensure that your business is on track. So if you do not have reviews, your business risks productivity and your employees lack direction. And so what I mean by this is reviews can come in many different shapes and forms. Say you're a big business, you can have reviews every morning just to kind of get everyone on the same page. If you're a small business, maybe you can do it once a week. But either way, you just want to come and still have a group of employees come together and really go over the goals of the company, the goals for that day, the goals for that week, and also review what everyone's working on just to keep everybody in the loop. So the 6th piece of advice that I have for improving your remote working strategy is creating work groups, which is interesting because I just said that. So ask yourself this question, is your team prepped for online group collaboration? This goes back to figuring out whether you're using Zoom, Office 365, or Google. Our advice is definitely if you're in business, always use Microsoft Office 365. Particularly because with Microsoft, you can sync everything together. And what I mean by that is you can share documents in real time through Teams. So you can share PowerPoints, Excel sheets, all of that. And your other employees can work on it and edit it all in real time. And then also there's a lot of security features with Microsoft, and even when you share stuff with OneDrive, there's additional security features with that as well. So I think with Microsoft, it goes beyond just chats and emails. You can really collaborate so much smoother because you can share these documents in real time. All right, so my 7th piece of advice for improving your remote working is use web conferencing. And so the question you want to ask yourself here is, are you using the video call feature? So a lot of us might be a bit shy and not really want to be on camera, but this really improves communication whenever you can see each other face to face through the web, and it often improves employee happiness as well. So number 8, my 8th piece of advice for improving your remote working strategy is creating virtual workspaces. So the question you want to ask yourself here is, what are you doing to create virtual workspaces? So individual work and group work are the way the workplace functions, yet for employees who are not used to working from home, it may be harder to stay on track. So having a workplace that allows your employees to work effectively and keep them on track is really beneficial. So this is another great feature with Microsoft Teams as well, is you can create virtual workspaces. So essentially what it does is it splits your employees up into different groups and teams, and they can share documents in between them and chat and collaborate pretty much effortlessly. At this time, I'm going to go ahead and check the At this time, I'm going ahead and check the chat. So let me go ahead and pull this up real quick and see if there's any questions I have coming up in the chat section. Yes, I do. Okay, so here's a question. What are the challenges from an employer viewpoint, especially around performance, team spirit, efficiency, etc.? So I would say a lot of the challenges from the viewpoint of the employer about performance is, and team spirit is, what can I do to ensure that my employees are staying on track and staying focused? I know a lot of businesses really enjoy doing things where they celebrate birthdays or maybe perhaps an anniversary of how long an employee has been with the company, or they can even celebrate holidays together. You can do this all virtually as well. It might seem a bit weird, but you can have a group of people joining on a web call and singing happy birthday to someone, and I feel like that definitely boosts team spirit and brings people together. But at the same time, if you want more structure, of course you can send out invites to people and ensure that they attend these sessions. And also at the same time, there's so many training tools available on YouTube. So if you ever get stuck with how to boost employee morale or team spirit, you can always refer to YouTube for some helpful advice and share videos, even uplifting videos that could be less than 30 seconds, something cute and fun and uplifting to make people feel happy, because right now a lot of us feel a bit isolated, and it's definitely hurting not being out in the sunshine as much too. So we have another question here. It says, will these slides be available for us? The answer is yes. I will be posting this video up on our YouTube channel, so feel free to follow us on YouTube, but I will post it on all of our other social media links, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I'm sorry, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. We don't have an Instagram. And I will be using the hashtag CoffeeTalkTBSC, and also you can use the hashtag CoffeeTalkTBSC to let me know how I'm doing, if this has benefited you in any way. Yeah, feel free to communicate with us and let me know whether or not this has been a helpful experience for you. So let me go ahead and bring my screen back full. All right, so continuing on with the presentation, thank you so much for your questions, but continuing on, I think a question to ask yourself is, well, how do I make the change? And of course, we went through some examples, especially with the questions that you asked, but ask yourself, how do I make the change? And the first thing you can do is, of course, review this list. Like I said, it's going to be available on YouTube, so you definitely have access to this in the future. So review that list and ask yourself the questions on the list, the top 8. pieces of advice I have for you to improve your remote working strategy. Another change that I would suggest is if you are not already, please get on the cloud. A lot of businesses have made the switch and a lot of businesses are operating on a hybrid, but the more SaaS applications that you have, I feel like is the better option, especially when you have your employees working from home. They're not operating from a desktop at work. They need access, and with the cloud, they have access, through web URLs. So I think it's a really good way to accommodate your remote workers. So another way you can another way you can make the change is reducing gaps in the remote workplace with the transition from work to home. So of course you can make the transition a bit easier for your remote workers. And I know with COVID-19 going on, a lot of us were just thrown into it, and a lot of us aren't necessarily comfortable working from home just because we're set in this setting where going to work and working in an office is just kind of the norm. But now we have to really tell ourselves that there's going to be a new normal here. And so maybe discussing that with your employees and kind of letting them know and keeping them in the loop, say, I'm not sure how long COVID-19 is going to keep up social isolation. However, for the foreseeable future, this is just the way it's going to have to be. We will be working from home. I think being forthcoming and just letting your employees know that working from home is just the new normal for now will be beneficial to morale, because it prepares people. We like to be prepared and we like to know what's going on. So it certainly prepares people to know. Another thing that I would say can help improve the change would be utilizing features like chats, videos, video calls, web calls, etc. So I would say if you're not already, please look into Microsoft 365. Like I said, there is a free trial, and the free trial is actually amazing. You can get free chats, video calls. It really comes with a lot of cool free features. So even if you are only using the free version, that's better than nothing. But the pro version does allow a lot more capability and allows more people to join in on the calls, and even offers Teams Live events, which is what I'm doing right now for you. So if you need to do training seminars with a huge group of employees, you can always just do a Teams Live event like this. Yeah, so I would say those are ways that you can make the change. Now with TBSC, the Business Software Center, and how we can help, well, we can help you certainly. We can help track your team's usage. And what I mean by that specifically is Microsoft Teams. So say you're using Microsoft Teams and you need to just check and see if all your employees know how to use it and are using it appropriately. We have this tool called Smarter 365, which is a tool that works automatically and effortlessly, and it generates reports letting you know what your team is using versus what they're not using. And so what it does is it suggests training needs. So if you are unsure whether or not your employees know how to use certain features of Teams, Smarter 365 can help you figure that out. And also it suggests ways to increase usage. So if your employees aren't fully utilizing it, you can offer training, and if they know how to use it, just say, hey, well then just keep continuing using it. I know certain businesses keep switching back and forth between Skype and Teams because some of their employees aren't too comfortable with Teams. And Skype is not as popular anymore, and perhaps the security has gone down a bit with that. So I would say definitely get your employees using Teams. It's better for your business. Also, we can help you virtually, so we don't even have to, go to your office and do installs. All these installs can be done virtually, so you don't have to worry about that. And we offer quick, efficient, and cost-effective SaaS management. So if you have other SaaS tools, SaaS applications that you need help with tracking, we do offer other tools to help with that as well. So this is the end of the slides, but I will keep taking your questions and comments. So let me just go ahead and click out of this and pop up your questions and comments and see if I've missed anything so far. Oh, yes, I have. Okay. All right, let me see. I'm going to read it out here. You talked about checking the equipment and software installations of remote employees. How can we do that automatically? So Phil, do you want to talk about that? How they can check remote employees automatically?
Yeah, sure. So I can share my screen and just show a couple of examples. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is just show you the dashboard that we use to check this. And if I just click, you should be able to see now our dashboard. Now here's some demonstration data. We can see on Microsoft Teams that this particular customer has got 23% usage, but even out of the people who are actively using it, it's primarily for private chat messages. So we could say that maybe we've not done such a good job in training people to use these other facilities. And how could we focus on them? Well, we can click here and we can see all of the people who are in green are using these facilities. And if we wanted to go in and analyze this, we can just click and we could show the full table of where people are using things and not using it. So here we can see heavy users of facilities. All of the names of the real users have been anonymized, but we can see heavy users of things like meeting count. We can see the last time they used it. And if we were to click on something like meeting count, we can see all of the people who are maybe having difficulties using it. So internet's running a little bit slow, but normally we'd be able to just see that. We could highlight all of the people who have not used it in the past month or so. So in effect, we've got in-depth information about usage by user. So it just gives you an example of it, and we can start to tackle where some of these issues are arising, where people have not been using it, and we can start to see by the individual user names and address where they've not used their facilities at all, and maybe we target their training on that. So yeah, that's just a brief overview, Madison. I'll let you carry on.
Okay, great. Yeah, I think that's a really valuable product to have, especially in this climate. It really helps improve the remote working strategy if you can track your team's usage. I do have a comment actually, and this is a really interesting comment, is we found it's important to get remote employees involved in defining how they want to work together and how to do so effectively. I agree with that. It's really important. Go ahead, take a survey. Like I said, you can make it anonymous just to take the pressure off, but really be open in discussing this with your employees, especially with the COVID-19 and the uncertainty. I think a lot of people want structure, want a bit of control. And so if they have the ability to give feedback on what their needs are, feel free to listen. I would suggest definitely be open and listening to your employees. We have another question here. It says, we are a large business and have reviews with our employees every morning. Sorry, I'm just trying to get to it. Okay, we are a large business and have reviews with our employees every morning. How could we make it more efficient with the reviews process to ensure our employees know what work needs to be done? Now, I'd say with large businesses, of course, you can all jump on a giant call together with 200 people. I mean, you're capable of doing it, but I think as far as, ensuring everyone's muted is one thing. Making sure no one's talking over each other is really complicated. So I would say if you have different departments or different teams that existed before remote working became so popular, perhaps use those original teams. So certain departments like, the arts department or the sales department or the HR department, just have them meeting separately at different times. I feel like maybe switching it up and making smaller work groups might be better. But you can also switch up the departments and just make teams of just anybody from any department, maybe up to 10 people, and basically giving them the same information. But also, if this is not ideal for you and maybe you don't have the time to do this and break down everybody individually into small groups, you can also do the Teams Live event feature, which is what I'm doing right now, is I'm hosting a Teams Live event. So the only talking that can be done is through the question and answer section. So if employees have questions and they can leave questions and comments, and they can even do it anonymously, which is amazing. So you can always host a Teams live event as well. Yeah, okay, great. That was fantastic. I don't have any additional questions. So what I'm going to say right now is thank you so much for joining us. We are doing this Coffee Talk series every other Friday starting today. So today is our first installment, and I had a lot of fun putting this together. I think remote working is certainly on the rise, and even after COVID-19 becomes more manageable, I feel like remote working is here to stay. So I would really hope that you guys take this advice and start implementing different strategies to really improve remote working. If you found this really helpful, feel free to hashtag us at Coffee Talks TBSC. Using this hashtag just lets me know whether or not this was a helpful event for you. And you can also interact with TBSC on there. So if you have additional questions after this, feel free to let us know with the hashtag. And you can also follow us on social media. We do have a Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube, and all of our social media links can be found on our website, businesssoftwarecenter.com. So if you're not following us already, please do so. We do like to interact with you and engage, and we often post. We often are online and posting for you. So we have a lot of cool coffee talks coming up in the future, and we really hope for more engagement. So also feel free to share this hashtag and let other people know, hey, this is what's going on. So I'm just checking to see if we have any more questions or comments, and we don't at this time. But like I said, if you have anything that you would like to add, please use the hashtag, and I'll be following up with any additional questions or comments. Awesome. So I want to thank you again for joining our coffee talk. This was super fun. And we will speak to you next time. Please join us in 2 weeks' time for our coffee talk. And if you would like to sign up to get these emailed to you, please send us an email at sales@businesssoftwarecenter.com, and we can certainly sign you up for our coffee talks. All right, thank you so much.